Greetings and welcome to Jefficho Films. Every year Game of Thrones does a big battle episode, and those are the ones I like to talk about. They put so much time and money into this episode that I was expecting something amazing. And it was a good episode, but it didn't leave me as satisfied as prior battle episodes in other seasons. So let's review The Long Night. This episode starts out with Sam running scared, which is something he does the entire show. At one point, he's just lying there after getting his ass saved, and his friend, the Night Watch commander, gets killed because he's waiting for Sam to get up. I mean, he should have just stayed in the crypt with the women and children. Everyone's getting into formation, and we see the dragons fly by, and we do eventually get some dragon air combat, which was pretty cool. We also see them doing strafing runs and lighting everyone on fire, but wouldn't the fire destroy the ice dragon too? Not that they actually used the fire on it, but would its natural immunity to fire not do anything? I don't know, but they probably should have tried it. Jon and Dany meet up on an icy mountaintop, and they have an awkward "what's up?" They probably should have been talking about hey, that weird awkward conversation we had about who's gonna get the throne? You kind of glanced over the whole fact that you're my aunt, and that's messed up.
Damn. I fucked my aunt. Can't believe I fucked my aunt.
Melisandre shows up, and we learn that it's not impossible to walk around the army of the dead. Also, did you notice there was no flanking attack? That's usually a strategy in battles. So she lights everyone's sword on the Dothraki army, and it doesn't seem to be that effective, as once they go into attack, which was a beautiful riding thing full of flames, they all just go out, even the ones that ride back with their swords. The flame's not on anymore. She runs into Davos and says, "No need to kill me, I'll be dead by dawn." They launch the flaming cannonballs, but never again, even when their troops are out of the way. I thought Grey Worm was killed 3 times, but that could be said for all of them. And they kind of swarm you, but then once they're on top of you, become ineffective killers. The zombie giant really fucked some people up and was quite the surprise to the Dothraki army. Also, the dragons lighting everybody up was really cool, but then the winter storm tactic, that was pretty smart because it made the dragons less effective. Sansa goes to the crypt saying she doesn't know how to use a dagger. You can't be that stupid. You don't know how to do this to someone. You haven't seen it done. Bullshit. Jump ahead to the crypt, probably not the best place to hide from the dead considering how many are down there. Did they learn nothing from Night of the Living Dead or graveyards? Her and Tyrion had some good moments down there, but the hardened Sansa that we've gotten to know was not in this episode. If they had one person down there capable of fighting, they probably could have cleared the crypt of the dead. In the battle they retreat and want to light the trench, but the dragons are lost and can't do it, so Melisandre comes out and starts praying a lot. I thought she was actually just going to disrobe, stand there, light on fire, and just ignite the whole trench, but it was still a cool moment. This episode was built around a lot of cool moments and scenes. Bran warging into ravens was pretty cool and all, but other than leading us to the Night King riding the ice dragon, he really didn't do anything in this episode. The zombies defuse the fire with using their bodies, and then people start to panic and fire arrows at them. Shouldn't you have been doing that already? Why'd you take a break? They were just standing there not moving. That would have been a pretty easy target. Manning the wall was pretty cool. There was some good fighting there that you could actually make out. And Arya had her badass moments, but once she hit her head, she just became a frightened little girl who was on the run. Not until Melisandre gave her confidence did she step back out and do something. The little Mormont girl was the best, showing that a little dragon glass goes a long way. But nobody fired any arrows or spears with dragon glass at it, because you would think logically take out the biggest threat, which is a giant, and if a dragon glass isn't gonna kill it, then why wouldn't you have done that? The sweet shot above the clouds with the dragons was beautiful, and it led to some good dragon warfare and Jon's dragon getting a little bit hurt. Arya plays hide and seek inside the castle, and I got some Walking Dead vibes here. That's where I would have added a fight scene where she's sticking and moving. There's enough obstructions here to keep a character alive. Gendry could have came in. The Hound and Beric eventually show up and save her, and I thought at one point when she killed that wight that she was going to wear its face, but it probably wouldn't fool them. Beric took so many stabs, he probably shouldn't have made it through the door. Not every character needs like a goodbye death scene. Sometimes the biggest shock is when they don't get one. Dany lights the Night King up with dragonfire and it doesn't kill him, which is pretty smart and cool and good storytelling, but they didn't capitalize on it later. So Ice Darth Maul brings up all the dead, and logically it has to be all the good guys that have fallen in this battle and not his wights because they've all been killed with dragonglass, I would assume, so they have to stay dead. Also, we get to see his generals, and they've been built up throughout the series to look pretty cool, and when Jon killed one at Hardhome, it was pretty awesome. But they did nothing in this episode. Nothing. Dany saves Jon, but is too stupid to look in her rearview mirror to see that she landed among all the resurrected, and she gets her dragon severely hurt, so now that's 2 dragons that are hurt. Everyone just keeps getting swarmed and overrun and dogpiled on. They probably should have died, and it really looks like Jon left Sam to die, and he probably should. He's a liability. Dany becomes a frightened little girl until Jorah shows up and saves her. All this time she wanted to rule, she never learned how to fight? Okay, well, she gets Jorah killed because she was a liability too. Jon's just running around the castle kicking ass, and he stands up to the Ice Dragon because he's tired of his shit, but we never see him take the flame, and if he could, maybe they're saving that for like the ending. If Dany turns on him and just tries to flame him with the dragon and he just like stands there naked because all his clothes would be burned off and be like, bitch, you're gonna die for that. Theon killed so many wights and looked so good in this episode, getting Bran's respect and forgiveness before stupidly charging the Night King and getting himself killed. Night King takes his time walking up to Bran. They have a little moment until Arya shows up and stabs him, killing all his wights. I mean, it's not a bad episode. Epic even, but it was messy. I mean, did Davos even fight anyone? Like, kill 1 or 2 people at best? But even after such an epic battle, and you're going to be exhausted, but he still has the time to chase down Melisandre and look at her with, like, intent to kill her, and just sees, oh, no, she's going to wander off and die herself. It probably would have been best if he just did that from a castle wall, exhausted, and just leans over and sees, oh, there's Melisandre, and then she dies. But it's just like, no way after that battle would he have had the energy to do that. Arya had a mental breakdown and went into scramble mode and became a frightened little girl. Good, because that makes sense. But we never actually saw her regain her confidence other than that pep talk from Melisandre. It really would have been awesome if the Hound in her had a moment which just instilled some confidence in her and she went back to being a badass. Because just showing up at the end, it's just like, okay. We saw Ghost running in the battle with the Dothraki, and we never saw him again. We never saw him kill anything. But good news, people. In the trailer for next episode, there he is. Right there. Good little boy. Last season, traveling to places didn't seem to take any time. Like, where's Bronn? Why didn't he get to Winterfell in time and be like, hey, Jaime, your sister paid me to kill you and Tyrion, but, I just expect you to owe me one. Get me a bigger castle, prettier wife. So who we fighting? I want to see that. Did the Dothraki fire swords kill anything, or were they just glorified flashlights? Melisandre lit them up with the prayer, just like Beric does, and that usually turns it into something similar to Valyrian steel, so when he strikes the wights, they die. But we didn't see a single one die. This episode showed us how dangerous the White Walkers were, but then in the end it kind of cheapened it because people that probably shouldn't have survived when they were swarmed on, did. And also the way it ended. I mean, I hope there's more mythos to it. I'm pretty sure there's a couple of scattered children of the forest still out there. I'm not sure why they would make another Night's King because, they kind of turned on them. But I just don't want it to end there. It just didn't feel satisfying to me that this was the conclusion of the Night's King and all the White Walker story. Like, if you go to that altar that's far enough north in the Lands of Always Winter, are we going to see Craster's last son become something? I really think they needed to build up that final confrontation, have Theon like kill one of the generals, and then the Night King step in and be like, I'll take care of him, and Theon just throw that thing into him, and have the Dragonglass not kill him, because the fire hasn't killed him, and if Dragonglass doesn't kill him, that means like, what the hell is gonna kill him? And then it turns out to be Valyrian steel that does kill him. Also, we spent all this time building up this confrontation between the Night King and Jon, when he's staring at him in Hardhome and seeing that he killed one of his generals, and he's just like curious, like, who is this guy? And then last season we see that Jon's the only person alive there until Benjamin comes and saves him and gets him out of there, and the Night King's staring at him again. They're building towards this confrontation that never even happened. The Night King even bitched out when he raised the dead instead of fighting Jon there. So Jon really should have showed up at the end and fought the Night King. And he didn't have to kill him. You don't have to undermine Arya, like you don't have to take that moment away. Arya could still come in and save her brother. I wanted to see that fight because, I mean, we've seen Dragonglass get pressed into the Night King and that's what made him, so it would make sense that Dragonglass wouldn't kill him and Valyrian steel would, but they just kind of robbed us of all that build-up. Also, the guy's like 8,000 years old. Has he become so patient that it's just not like a walk up to Bran, not kill him? There's so many times where he could have won this war. His entire goal is to bring an endless night. He has no ego, and he also doesn't talk. Why is he constantly waiting? Even the giants, like, holding up Lady Mormont was like, ha 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 ha, oh, you stabbed me in the eye. There's no reason for any of these wights to hesitate, but they do for story reasons. I know I picked apart a lot of this episode, but I still really enjoyed it, and I watched Game of Thrones. Maybe it's just because so many people are just like, oh, it was perfect, it was the greatest. It wasn't the greatest episode. You know, they looked at Helm's Deep to get some inspiration for it. There were things in Helm's Deep I think they did better than in here. And they spent so many days filming, too, for this epic battle, and you couldn't see a lot of it. A lot of it was just in the dark. A lot of it was like, you know, just so much blur attack. So there was definitely some messiness to this, but Benioff and Weiss do a pretty good job with this show, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do with Star Wars, because that's what they're up to next. Well, if they do another battle episode, I might consider it. As always, thanks for watching.